Hello, I'm Jose Antonio Lopez, and tonight we are going to talk a little bit about celebrations. Why do I choose celebration as a topic? Well, because I love celebrations. I think that celebrations are about people sharing. We share our beliefs, we share our ideals, we share our experiences, and sometimes we even share our history. Somehow, all these elements find its way and become into society's tradition. Remembering and celebrate are considered the way in which people pass on their values to the future generations. That's why celebrations are so important. And tonight, I'm going to present you this particular celebration that is kind of important for the American culture, and it's called Thanksgiving. Okay, and I would like for you to analyze all the information and elements that I'm going to present and identify that way why this particular celebration is so unique, not only for America, but also for the rest of the world. Okay? Why is important Thanksgiving? Where does this tradition come from? And furthermore, why do we need to know all about Thanksgiving? Okay, as the first um, as a first step of this presentation, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the origins of this tradition, where and when it was celebrated Thanksgiving for the very first time, and in addition, how this tradition has been changing through time. Secondly, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the other part of the history of this celebration, which is there, but is not as common as the official version. And finally, I would like for you to consider all these aspects that I'm going to present and make your own conclusions. Bear in mind the next. Why is important for every one of us to know about the truth of celebrations and beliefs, sorry, that we share with other people? That hopefully is going to be the question that you're going to be able to answer at the end of this presentation. Okay, so let's begin. How does this tradition started? Well, American tradition tells us that Thanksgiving is modeled on a harvest feast that took place on 1621 in Plymouth, Massachusetts, between English colonists and Wampanoag people. Wampanoag people is a tribe of Native Americans. Okay? It is supposed that they, as you can see in the image, they share their goods, their crops, and food, and they were together with harmony and peace. And that's a way to say thanks for all the good things that had happened during a year. But who were these people? Well, um, the English colonies were about 100 people who came from England seeking for religious freedom and that landed on the shores of Cape Cod, which is currently known as Massachusetts. And after a few days, they decided to establish a settlement on the shores of Massachusetts Harbor. That somehow is the very beginning of the American nation. And that's where the importance of this celebration relies, because it's the founding of a country. But it's not only the historical content that is important for all the Americans. Thanksgiving is a ritual that is completely fulfilled with legend and symbolism. And it also includes a fare of meal like turkey, bread stuffing, potatoes, and pumpkin pie. Okay, that is the origin of Thanksgiving. But is it the same from back in those days to now? Is it the same tradition and the same celebration that we know? Unfortunately, it's not like that because from a simple dinner to thanks to say thanks about the good things that had happened to every one of us, the Thanksgiving has mutated into a very important economical phenomenon that involves not only America but also the United States. Remember that in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln decided to make Thanksgiving as an official celebration for Americans. But it was until last century, in the 80s decade, when the retailers decided to change the notion of the Black Friday from something negative into something positive. And somehow they managed to transform the day after Thanksgiving into a millionaire business. Did they succeed? Well, check these figures only for you to have some elements and make your own decisions about all this information. First of all, um, originally for USA and Canada, today Thanksgiving is celebrated in more than 20 countries as diverse as Brazil in Latin America, the Philippines in Asia, and even Liberia in Africa. Somehow, Germany and the Netherlands and even Japan have some sort of celebration similar like as Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not only a Thursday night dinner. It starts in Thursday night, continues on Black Friday, goes through Saturday and Sunday, and ends in Monday. That means these are 5 days of massive shopping spread, not only in America, but also in the whole world. The Washington Post, the very influential newspaper, has documented that in 2019, during these 5 days, an average of 174 million of Americans spent $334 each. More, CNN Money has also documented that in a record time of 24 hours, 5 millions, that is 5 5 billions, that is 5 millions of dollars were spent during 24 hours from Thanksgiving dinner up until Black Friday. Can you see the amount of money that is moved because of Thanksgiving? Here in Mexico, we don't have Thanksgiving properly, but we have the Buen Fin. So El Buen Fin is something like it's that period of time that mimicking um, all the guidelines of Black Friday. Okay, so as you can see, um, we have here a economical and social phenomenon, cultural phenomenon that has evolved from an ancient tradition into something new. And that new is, of course, uh, a lot of food, a lot of shopping, a lot of travelers moving around the United States, and public demonstrations of this celebration, like the New York City parade. Okay, that's what Thanksgiving means for the majority of us today. But what happened with the other part of the history that I told you that it exists? Well, for some people, Native Americans particularly, Thanksgiving is not what we know. Thanksgiving is something else. The other part of the history of Thanksgiving says that Native Americans, Wampanoag people, were slaughtered, their villages were wiped out, um, their territories were occupied and taken by European colonialists, and that somehow it represents a sad event for Native Americans. We can say also that back in those times, the first Thanksgiving is the born of America as a nation amidst episodes of war, violence, and massive bloodshed of hundreds of Native Americans. So, for Native Americans, Thanksgiving is a commemoration, not a joy, but of sad sorrow. They consider this Thanksgiving as a day of mourning because of the colonization and displacements of their ancestors. As a political expression, uh, Native Americans claim and ask for justice and retribution about what they consider the worst invasion and massacre made by Europeans against their ancestors. That's why they call it the National Day of Mourning. So, as you can see, one day, the same day, could have different aspects to be commemorated. But after knowing this information, what do you think? Um, do you think it is important for us as members of our society to know what lies underneath our beliefs and traditions and culture? Do you think it is important for us to know what are we celebrating when we celebrate? Well, you remember the question that I made you at the very beginning of this presentation? Why is it important for us to know the truth about the celebration and beliefs we share with other people? Well, I hope after all this information you have found the answer. If you're still having doubts, I want to remember you that um, traditions are a piece of our culture. And traditions remind us that we are part of a history that defines our past, shapes our present days, and shapes also who we are likely to be in the future. So ignore what this tradition implies. It arises danger to the underpinning of our identity. Remember, it's not the celebration. It's not about celebrating or not celebrating. It is about us knowing who we are and why we are celebrating something. We are not going to be able to change the past ever, but we must never forget who we are as individuals, families, and society. Who we are, where we come from, and where are we going to. Money can move the world that surrounds us, and that's impossible to stop. But as persons, as people, as individuals, it is our responsibility to try to fulfill not only with items our lives, but also with knowledge, giving that way meaning to our existence. So I think that's the least that we can try. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. And I would like to give you thanks for being here and having listened to me with so attention. So I would like to ask you, does anyone have a question? Does anyone have a comment that would like to share about Thanksgiving, or any other celebration that you bear in mind. Thank you.